hurt his feeling, and publicly I would like to tell him that I'm really sorry. The intention was not to hurt your feelings, but it was just a point that I was just making across. Okay, Mr. Clerk. Yeah, he is. He was crying, but really I didn't mean to make you cry. But that's nice, you know, have a man cry for me, though. That's not true, guys. He was not crying.
All right.
All
So
right.
we need to continue this meeting, and I believe Councilwoman Keys.
I think your mic is open.
No, it's on.
It's on. Okay.
Yes, it is. We're making a couple of points on several items, several questions that she has on those items. Should we wait till she comes back? Councilwoman, you have the floor.
On the floor.
On the floor.
Can I sing while the councilwoman is approaching the bench?
Continuing with tab E, I had the discussion with the attorney and they tried to make it a little bit more. Try to make this matter a little bit more restrictive, that we only did day-to-day items, that we did not enter into any new business, enter into new contracts. Did you change that at all? Or can we
Through the
make it-
mayor, I did not change that. I believe that a motion
Okay, I'd
would
like to,
probably be required.
could you read
to
the,
amend
could you read
to
the
amend a
change?
resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to make the resolution that we're about to pass a little bit more restrictive on staff. But you've made some notes.
Yes, I'm fully aware of what your concern is.
Okay, so maybe,
I believe your concern is, as you stated, that you want to ensure that day-to-day affairs that are not necessary not take place during the hiatus.
no, day-to-day items
That are
to
not
run a
necess-
city that are necessary can go forward, but nothing new, no new business, no new contracts, no
Okay.
canceling of contracts, mainly to,
Can I?
or if there's an emergency.
Got it. So, okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is that you would wish you would be okay with the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk to take all necessary action. Is that
Well,
what you just said?
In the ordinary costs of business, I'd like to restrict it so that we're not entering into new businesses, new contracts, canceling contracts.
Okay.
All
So-
necessary is, subject to interpretation and very broad.
Okay. So it sounds like, is it just emergency? Maybe, because maybe now I'm not as clear. So for emergency items?
Ordinary day-to-day businesses, but not entering into contracts.
Can I interject, if you allowed me, Councilwoman? Madam Mayor, through you, Mr. City Manager, can you give us a definition of this resolution? What does it entail? And then we'll take it from there.
Sure.
If you allowed me, if you agree,
Certainly.
Madam.
Through the mayor, vice mayor, this standard language has been the language that has been adopted for the past 10 years. It's very specific.
2 or 10?
The past 10.
10 years.
As far as I can go back, this has been the standard language. We picked it up. The only thing that changes is the dates. And basically what it says, it does not allow me to do normal day-to-day business. It says to take all, in Section 1, the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami hereby authorize the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk to take all necessary action and execute any documents only affecting the health, safety, and welfare of the city during the time frame. This is during the hiatus. Anything that I do that is perceived to affect the health, safety, and the welfare, on August the 27th, I must come back and do a ratification to inform you. For instance, there was a hurricane. We had to take this action, and then I would have to ratify it to get your approval or to make you aware of any action that I did take during this time period. So any action that I do take pertaining to the health, safety, and welfare, it does not, the spirit of this does not allow me to say, I want to do more I want to do more sidewalks. And I want to go out and I want to bring in this vendor and do an RFP. This does not permit me to do so. That's
Okay.
not the spirit of that. If I was to do that, I would fire me the next day on August the 27th
that.
if I were you. However, I would not do anything unless it affects the health or the safety or the welfare of the city.
Well, practically everything affects one of those items. But as long as we're clear that contracts, new items, new matters should not be done during our hiatus.
I would never put myself in that
Okay.
position to do that.
And from my understanding, this has been the same words for the past 10 years. This is,
Or more.
Or more.
there's nothing new to
Scott
what you're
can-
putting right here.
That's
Scott can
correct.
answer that. For the past 14 years, maybe.
Y'all don't want me to start talking.
But anyways, what I would, what we do in the past, Madam Councilwoman, if there is any issues come before the city manager that's need our assistance, what we do, we come back and we call an emergency meeting. So if we available or if we here, we have a meeting and vote on it, or the city manager wait for the next until we come back from recess. So that has been my experience with
Okay,
this.
as long as that's clear, then I'll move to the next
Correct.
item, because we're all...
Okay.
So you do
I have a
have a
question- I
motion.
have a
Are you
question about,
removing your motion?
No.
I have a question
eh,
about tab E
no, I-
and Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr.
During the recess, let's see, we have a contract and it's expired. Just because we are in recess, are you going to wait for us until you renew that contract?
That's correct.
Yes.
Because it's not
It's not an emergency.
it's not emergency, it's not time sensitive, it's not exigent that I
You're
need to
telling
do
me
that.
anything related to the city council approval not going to be included in this?
Unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency,
Who make the call that's an emergency?
well, normally it would be weather related.
Because when you said
Sure.
health, safety, and welfare, it's everything.
It could be hurricane, it could be tropical
It
storm.
can be
It
everything.
could be anything where
Those three can
he's
be
going to have to
everything.
make
Yeah.
decisions.
Well, it's not the
Understand, but
data.
when you said safety,
Sure.
health, and welfare, it can be anything. There is a contract to be renewed, it can,
That's not an
and
emergency.
it can decide that's an emergency
Who
for
can
the health
decide
of the
this?
city. When you said health, safety, and welfare, Madam Chair, I want to make sure anything related to the approval of the city council won't be included in that emergency.
Sure, through the mayor, Councilman Bieneme, anything that's routine, I would not do during this time period. Anything that is routinely done, such as an RFP or bringing on a new contractor or anything of that nature, anything routine. For instance, everything on this agenda, I would consider to be routine. I would never execute any of these items during an hiatus. What we try to do as staff, one of the reasons why that you see the agenda at this length is because of the hiatus. So we try to bring matters that need to be addressed at this last council meeting, and we don't do anything during this hiatus. There's no execution. I will not go out and execute a contract unless it's a state of emergency. I would follow, if it came from the Emergency Operations Center at Miami-Dade County, or if there's a flood that is affecting this city, before I do anything, it's my practice, I would call you to let you know what's happening and what I would have to do as a result of that emergency. I would not do anything of my own during this hiatus without notifying you individually. If at that point in time, if it was your desire to convene an emergency meeting, I would do so. But I can tell you, for the safety of me, my job, city staff, I'm not going to execute anything unless it's a state of emergency, and only after making contact with this mayor and council to give you a full, complete update.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Bienibi?
Yeah, I have a question for the city attorney. And from my understanding, any contract over $25,000 need an approval of the council, right?
Over 100,
Over 100?
correct.
Are we still
Okay.
on tab E, Mr. Bienibi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. During the recess, let's say you have an emergency and you need to sign a contract over $100,000. What will you do?
If it's an emergency, then the city manager and I will confer. As he stated, he would get in contact with the council, and we would then act accordingly.
Okay.
Councilwoman Keys, are you satisfied with the answers?
Yes, I'm fine with it.
Thank you. Can we move on?
Yes, we can. I'll try to take G through M together. This has to do with the annexation of 7 properties. Again, I do not believe this is a consent agenda item. I believe there should be public input on it. I did discuss this matter with Maxine Callaway, and I would like, I am in agreement. First of all, we have not been provided with any information regarding these properties, what the tax base will be, what kind of revenue we're going to have, what the impact will be, what our costs will be, losing surcharges, having to add police.
Councilwoman,
Yes?
it only says to collect data.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
says
it does.
It says collect data, prepare a formal application for submission to Miami-Dade County, and obtain the required petitions to annex the city of North Miami.
Don't you, City Manager, can you please answer? that
Sure.
list?
What staff is asking you to authorize city staff to do is collect data, conduct a feasibility, and prepare an application. Before doing that, the transmittal of that document for each of these respective areas, we will come back to the council, provide you with that data, provide you with that analysis based upon the data that we do collect, and have this staff or this council make their policy decision on how you would like to move forward.
Then I would like to amend tabs G through M to state that we are authorizing city admission to collect data, and strike the
That's what it
language,
says.
prepare a formal application for submission to Miami-Dade County and obtain the required petitions to annex into the city of North Miami. And the reason for that is I would like to review the data, I would like the public to see the data before we take any further steps on the properties.
Don't we have to vote on it before they can go ahead and do
Let me-
that? Don't we have to vote on it, City?
Yes,
Attorney?
there was a motion, there needs to be a second, and then you would vote on it if you would like to amend the resolution.
This is what I discussed with our planner this morning, Maxine Callaway, and she agreed that that was the intention.
Vice Mayor, you had something to add?
Yeah, if the councilwoman is done, may I?
I'm-
Okay.
I'm done.
Through the city, through you, Madam Mayor. Okay.
I'm sorry.
The way that the councilwoman present this item, it seems like it's 2 questions in one. Don't we have to collect the data? How do we collect the data? Do we have to submit application to the county, then collecting the data, or we have to collect the data and then what is it? Can you go over it with us,
Correct.
please?
What we have to do is request the data from Miami-Dade County to determine how many electorates are in those areas. Once we determine how many electorates are in that area and collect the data, then city staff goes out and conducts a feasibility to bring you back the information, how it would impact the city. Fiscally, how would it impact our budget? In some cases, it's in addition to our budget. And then before the application process, it requires that we, in certain areas, if the electorate is a certain number, then we must grab a fourth of that must be through signatures. So, and if we don't get the signatures for instance, if there's 400 people, we must get 25 signatures from people who are registered voters. If we don't get that, then we don't bring that back to this council for approval. It simply means that we don't have participation from that area that wants us to proceed with the application process. So what we would be doing is collecting the data.
Hold on a minute. So from what I understand is her question in my interest. Once we collect the data,
Correct.
we have to come before council to give you approval to submit the application.
Correct.
So therefore, there is no reason for us to pass the preparing of the application if it's coming before us for approval anyways. Is that what I'm hearing you telling me, that once you collect the data, you have to come before us? But yet again, we're voting to collect the data and to prepare.
Yes. The preparation of the application is a part of the procedure.
Collecting
So,
the data.
Collecting the data is
Okay.
one.
And preparing, and before they submit it, you have to come back here to council in order
That's
for us to
correct.
approve it.
And
Okay.
getting the
And
Not with,
therefore-
not with this, not with this.
And therefore
resolution.
satisfy Councilwoman Key's concern in terms of being aware of all the informations, the number of registered voters and tax base and so on and so forth before we can go any further. Is that correct?
And everything you said is correct. In addition to that, certain areas that is a part of the application process, if it's a certain amount of electorates, we must grab 25% signatures to say, that's a part of the application process. Without those 25% of the signatures, then the application is incomplete.
If I might say something, Mayor, one of the parcels actually doesn't even require petitions. And I think before we use staff to go out and collect petitions, I think it should be brought back to the council to determine if these are viable, that that the council wants to go forward with these properties.
Do you
The
still
way-
have a friendly amendment, Madam
I-
Keys?
It's not
Do
a
you
friendly.
still have a
I do
friendly
still. I
amendment?
still make a motion to strike that language because I do not want to go forward with the formal application.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Anybody? Mr. Clerk?
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sterriel,
No.
Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
Councilman Bien-Aimé,
No.
and Mayor Tundro.
No.
The amendment has failed 3-2.
Any other concerns, Councilwoman Keys?
Please, yes. Okay, let's keep going. N and O, I think it would be nice for the public to get some explanation of what this entails. It is awarding a $198,000 contract for architectural and engineering services, and it's also awarding a $248,000 contract for more engineering or construction services for a project that's $3.5 million. I'm not necessarily against it, but I think it would be nice if our public could hear why we are spending $450,000 this evening.
City Manager?
To the mayor,
Okay.
I request to invite Whistler, who is a part of our city engineer, to provide an explanation as to these items and how they have already been in progress, and to give an update.
Hello? Hi. The two contracts are, the first one is for the construction, engineering, and inspections. That's the one for $198,000. The consultant will provide construction and engineering services, inspections, reviewing pay applications, providing an inspector on site during the duration of the project, and certifying the completion of the project. The second contract is for the construction management services. their services are needed because they're the actual designers of the filter rehabilitation project. And during construction, there'll be items that are left up into their interpretation. And they will also help in certifying the completion of the project.
And if it's okay, Madam Mayor, I'd like for him to give the history of this and the funding source and what we were required to do to get this far and what stage that we're in.
Okay.
And the total cost.
This is you mean the entire project?
Yes.
The entire upgrade of the water treatment plant is about $17.5 million. The filter rehabilitation is $4.5 million. Sorry, it's $3.7 million right now. This project is funded by the state. It's a SRF fund. And we went through a process with another consultant and contacted the state. We have a loan agreement right now with a 1.8% or so for the filter rehab portion of the job right now. We have the bid package phase 3 remaining, which would include the design of storage tanks, a new admin building with a EOC component, and other items that would bring the water plant to a standard. Right now, the plant was built in the 1960s and has not had any upgrades. And this project is to bring it up to today's standards and maintain a viable water source for our population.
I believe the question Councilwoman has, and I had the same concern as well, is the amount of money that we have to pay for consultant, the consultant fees on this project. And my question to the city manager is, there is a law called competitive consultant negotiation, and I'd like to know if there's a way we can have or spend less money on consulting, because it seems like we are being I don't know. I think this is a lot of money to pay only for consulting without the expenses for the to revamp this water plant. And I believe from what you told me, it's been like that since 2008, and they have spent already $2 million on consulting fee on this project.
Yes, Madam Mayor. If I just add that this project has been underway since 2008. It's been a phased approach. The consultant fees and the total amount of those consultant fees and construction costs and the architect and design is a process that has been in place. It has been approved by the state. The amounts have been approved by the state. They're according to the standard in the industry. So although they may appear to be a lot, it's not a lot. It's according to the standard in the industry based upon the scope of the work that we have done. The RFP process that we put out has to be monitored and approved by the state of Florida. The pricing has to be monitored and approved by the state of Florida. The selection process has to be approved by the state of Florida. So this is just another step in the work that has already been underway since 2008.
And each step we have to pay them that much money?
There's specific drawdowns and there's specific scope of works through a schedule of values that have already been approved by the state of Florida for the distribution of that $17.5 million. So this is to upgrade our system as regulatory required. So these fees and the contractors and their amounts over this time period has already been vetted and approved by the state of Florida in order for them to give us the loan. It's a part of the process. We are now at a critical stage. We can't switch contractors. Who we have is who we have. Again, this has been since 2008.
You mean we stuck with them?
That was the company that was awarded. And
for the duration of the
yes. Yes.
Madam Chair, and I think contract for over $400,000 should have the input of the council
It did.
and the public, and that's why I will make a motion to move that item from the consent agenda and put it on the regular agenda, or move it for another discussion, because $400,000.
Which hun-
We have a say,
Which
but
items?
I expect the public and to have a talk about
Which items?
those items.
It's
We're talking about O.
$400,000.
Yeah.
We're talking about O and
From what I see, it's 248. No. You have
248,
another one?
198.
But this is two different items. This is N and O. This is separate.
This is NNO. Yeah.
Yeah, N is one item and O is another item. Are you guys trying to confuse
Is that-
me or something? Is that what it
No,
is?
but
It's-
if you allow
It's
me,
about-
Councilman,
Okay.
if you allow me, I would ask you to withdraw your motion, because I have another one to make.
Okay.
That would, I think on this particular item,
Mhm.
we need to have more input from staff. It
Okay.
probably will be better to remove it from this agenda
Uh,
until
okay.
we get further report from staff.
I will second it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may say, this project has been approved through other mayor and councils prior to this one.
Mhm.
This entire project has been approved.
You understand that?
Yeah, and there will be a significant delay. I don't know what that would mean, but I will say that it's urgent that we move forward, because we're dealing with the state revolving loan. This loan came down through a schedule of values. There's agreements that are put in place. I do understand that this mayor and council, especially the three new elected, are not familiar with this project,
Mhm.
but staff is more than willing, during the hiatus, to take you out there to the project, roll out the project, and to move forward.
That's
But
the idea, that's the essence
Sure.
of my motion. We would like
Okay.
to have more input from staff and be very familiarized with the entire project before we can move on and vote on it, because I think it's very interesting. I personally would like to know much more about it, because there is a lot to learn, and so we understand the process. Next time, we know it's part of it. But since we are new in this entire process, I would like to be able, or to be given a chance, at least to familiarize myself, not in a 5 minutes presentation,
Sure.
but sitting with staff and understand very well what's going on with this project, so we can move forward.
Sure, Madam Mayor, might ask our city engineer what impact this may have, if there is any, as a result of the.
Well, city engineer needs to understand that we are 3 new council members
Sure.
in this dais, and they need to give us a chance to understand what we're voting on, and what can be done, and for us to have a better understanding of it. I don't think there were any requirement when we were running for office to know this MET project before we come here. Would he be willing to give us that chance, at
Sure.
least to know and to be familiarized with the project first?
Sure, we will schedule appointments.
Thank you. Is the engineer there?
And the,
Because I don't
I
think in a 5 minutes presentation or telling us it's imperative for us to vote on it tonight is going to solve the issue,
Sure.
because we are ignorant on it.
Sure.
and I also think that's not an item we should put on the consent agenda.
No, the motion was to remove it and put it in the
No,
next.
I'm talking about the next time. And,
Sure.
we will better have it on a regular agenda.
Understood. It was just done because it was a project that was familiar, but I do understand that you want to be brought up to date, and we would do that.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I offer a friendly amendment/suggestion to the council?
Sure.
Go ahead.
That perhaps any item valued at $100,000 or more in future not be on a consent agenda and instead be on the regular agenda. That way these really big ticket items are there for us to discuss.
Anybody wishes to second the friendly
I second
amendment?
it.
Very good. City manager, city clerk? Or you want to discuss it? Hold on, 1 second, please, Mr. Clerk.
When are we voting on the Scott motion, or are we voting on to remove the item? Because I have one question. And not as, I don't mind that this item is moved or not, because I respect the point that the mayor and the councilman needs to be more familiar with this item. If I'm not sure what's the concern, but it doesn't matter anyways. But is it
Wait, can I answer your first question?
Yeah.
We need to vote first on the one that I've made to remove it, and then probably for Mr.
second.
Galvin to come up with another amendment asking for any contract that is over $100,000 not to be put in the consent agenda.
My question was for you for moving this item to the next council agenda. This. Okay, it's late. All right, I move on. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
So
I'm
now
ready
we
to
are
vote.
going to vote on the motion asking for tab O to be removed from this council agenda and to be reported in the next meeting agenda,
No problem.
so that we familiarize ourselves with the entire process of the water plant and the consulting and the fee and the different phases. So that was the motion, and this is what we're voting on.
Okay.
Is that N as in Nancy and O, or just O?
N and O.
NNO.
I'll second that.
Councilman Bieneme.
Second.
No.
I vote yes.
Oh, did you seconded already? I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Councilman Bieneme,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys,
No.
Vice Mayor Steril,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Mayor Thundro.
Yes.
Item N and O has been removed. Measure passed 4-1.
All right, now, Madam Mayor, if my request is in order, I ask that we direct staff that for future council meetings, any item valued at $100,000 or more be set not on the consent agenda, but on the regular agenda.
I have a.
Do we hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Madams, well, the $100,000 will not come before us anyways. So,
No, well, staff has the ability to approve contracts up to $100,000. So if I need to say $100,000 and $1 or something, $100,000, $1, whatever that threshold is. But my intent is that these big ticket items like this, you know, 300,000 here, 200,000 there, suddenly you're talking about real money. That anytime it's $100,000 or more, could be 100,001, whatever, that come to council on the regular agenda and not the consent agenda.
may I, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
From what I understand, guys, the reason the consent agenda made is not to hold the audience here forever. Here's what I'm trying to say. We, the city manager put together the agenda with the city attorney. They actually publish it since Thursday. We see it. We have a chance to actually, if you don't like anything, we meet with staff. We understand it. We talk to our constituent. Our constituent actually has a chance to see the item. If they have questions, they come to us, or if they have questions, they come before us. So once we discuss it and we agree with it, so it will move the meeting faster. So I don't understand why is it that we're afraid of the consent agenda, because the agenda is us. We should agree on what's in it, or we disagree, then we said we disagree, we don't want it.
Vice Mayor,
So-
I did discuss with the city manager about that particular item.
No,
And
I'm
in
not talking
other-
about this item.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about not to add
motion.
things on the consent agenda.
Well, I think it does make sense over $100,000 for them not to be within the consent agenda, because we may have concern, and we're gonna
Whatever
be.
you said, Madam Mayor.
No, it's only for time constraint. We still have not approved the consent agenda yet,
No problem.
and because we are discussing these items, if we can, if the city manager knows not to put over $101,000 into the consent agenda, put it in the item where people can speak and we can, move on. It will be easier for us than wasting precious hours, because I'm sure many people here have to go to work tomorrow, and I don't know about you, I have to be back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
If it's a motion, Madam Mayor, I'll second it.
Madam Mayor, might offer a point of information for the council to consider. Whenever, for instance, whenever you direct council, direct staff to do something, for instance, if you say, I want you to put in a new playground equipment at Griffin Park, and I want you to do this, and I don't want you to exceed $500,000. Once you give us that direction, we're going to go out, we're going to do an RFP process, we're going to find a company, and because it's something that, an item that you're familiar with, we normally would not put that on the, we would normally put that on the consent agenda
That's right.
because you've already given us prior direction. I'm only saying that what you're saying now, any and every item that you direct us to do that's over $100,000, because of that amount, it won't be on the consent agenda. It would now be belabored to be put on the agenda for discussion.
But you do understand our rules have exceptions. If we direct you to do
Absolutely. I
this
just wanted
and that,
to-
it will be totally different than you putting things that are questionable.
Sure.
You know, I just want to be familiar with the process.
Sure, and I just wanted
I'm
to
just
give you-
asking for me to get a chance
Sure.
to know what it's all about, and then to understand when I'm going to be talking to the constituents,
Sure.
I need to be able to explain it to them and to them very clearly.
Sure.
It's nothing personal against anything. I just want to be able, and I'm sure Councilman Bien-Aimé and
My other
Councilwoman
point is-
Keys
yeah.
are following the same thing. We
Sure.
would like to be able to understand this and, to continue.
I
And
just want to
listen
give
to
you that
constituents.
information.
I understand very well. Thank you.
I'm ready to vote.
Mr. Clerk.
Just to be clear, the item we're voting on is any item above 100,000 or more not to be placed on the consent agenda. Motion by Galvin, seconded by Keys. Councilwoman Keys.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Steril.
Yes.
Councilman Galvin.
Yes.
Mayor Thundro.
Yes.
And Councilman Bien-Aimé.
Yes.
Measure passes 5-0.
Yeah. That's a record.
Can we move on?
Last item.
Last item, Councilwoman.
Tab Q. At the last meeting, Councilman Galvin eloquently spoke and has not served on many boards in his past 14 years and made a plea to be appointed by our council to serve on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO Governing Board. Being new, being my first meeting, I did not understand that was a plea for a motion to be appointed. Nobody said, gee, is there a motion? So since Councilman Galvin is a senior councilperson here and he has requested to be placed on the board, I would like to make a motion that we authorize the appointment of Councilman Galvin to this board.
City Manager, can you explain to Councilwoman Keys, whenever there are appointments to be made to the board, the mayor has the first choice?
Mayor, I would just say regarding this particular board here, it's the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Traditionally, what they have done was have the mayors from the various cities to be on this board under the spirit that they could represent the city as a citywide approach. So it's just a policy decision. I do realize that the motion was made at the last council meeting. It did not get a second. However, traditionally it's here at your request, basically because this Metropolitan Planning Board usually has a mayor, and it's really a policy decision that this council would like, however you all move forward, it's your decision. But there's no preference from staff, but this is just a tradition of the Metropolitan Planning Organization.
If I may, at the last meeting, there was no motion. There was a request to be appointed, and I'd also point out, and this is not against you, Mayor, but I looked at the requirements to serve on this board, and it just requires that an elected official from a municipality greater than 50,000 be appointed. There are about 6 cities, 3 or 4 of them do have mayors. The city of Miami, Mr. Regalado is not on the board. Mr. Suarez is, I believe. So it's not it's not a requirement, it might be policy or procedure. And because Mr. and it is not just a city matter, it is a county and South Florida issue. So that's why I've made that motion.
It's a policy decision, not staff's.
Would you like to make a motion, Councilwoman Keys?
I did make a motion.
Who seconded it?
Nobody.
So motion fail. Any other concern, Councilwoman?
No.
Therefore,
No.
we need
Thank
to
you.
move on to the consent agenda. I believe that before we do so, I'm sorry, I need to recognize, where is he? Commissioner Jean-Moniz team, did he go?
He left. End of
And State Representative Campbell that were here. I'd like to thank them for their support. They're probably in the lobby. They would like to let you know that they've been here from the beginning. In the future, we probably will go and open public hearings for the consent agenda. But I believe today it's not the proper thing to do. We're going to move on. And I'd like to hear a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda, Madam Mayor.
Second? Anybody wishes to record a nay?
No?
No.
Mr. Clerk?
Well, I can do a roll call, but, okay, so Vice Mayor Sterian,
Huh?
your vote, please.
Oh,
You want me to do roll call, right, Mayor?
No, they
Yes.
have just...
Okay,
go ahead.
so,
Okay,
yeah,
then-
so measure passes 3-2.
Thank you.
were you sleeping, Mr.
I'm
Clerk?
I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk. You said the measure passed 3-2? I didn't hear those who voted in favor voted.
We said,
said-
would anybody wishes to record a no? And you and Councilman and Councilwoman Keys says nay, and
Right.
everybody else didn't say anything.
Right, so does
So would
that
you like to
mean-
do roll call? Mr. Clerk, go ahead with the roll call.
Yes, Mayor. Vice Mayor Sterian,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin,
No.
Councilman Bien-Aimé, Councilwoman Keys,
No.
and Mayor Thundro.
Yes.
Measure passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, in tab R. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I gotta pull up the ordinance from the iPad.
Oh, excuse me.
Because I don't, yeah,
What is it for?
I have to read that ordinance from the body. Okay, whenever
Why
you're
this
ready,
meeting
Mayor.
has to be now? Can we do it last or something?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to move tabs R.
The last?
We've moved past the consent, correct? We're on tab R now?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Quasi-judicial items.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to, the only Biscayne Landing item we have tonight is tab R.
Correct.
I'd like to continue tab R to the next city council meeting.
I would second that.
You want to move tab R to the next council meeting?
Correct.
Roll call, City Clerk?
Well,
I'm sorry, you want to
That's-
discuss? Go ahead.
no, it's not like, it's not that I want to discuss it, because that I spent so much time this week to meet with staff, city attorney. I came to the planning commission meetings, and I met with the developers. So I did all that. I would like to know if there's something that I missed, or if there's a reason why I can't discuss this item.
My motion is to continue it. If it's not supported, then we'll discuss it tonight, certainly.
Any further discussion? Councilwoman Keys?
No, I'm a
Any
I
comments?
motion.
You
Uh,
approve, you second
I
Mr.
second the
Galvin's
motion, so there's no discussion on
Okay.
it.
Mr. Bien-Aimé, do you wish to discuss this item?
I would like to discuss
The
this
motion,
item.
I'm sorry, not the item, but the motion.
I'm not going to discuss it.
Okay. I tend to go with you, Mr. Galvin, because I think there are certain questions that, again, I need to do some research and have some answers. I was supposed to be meeting with the Biscayne Landing people. For some reasons, it did not happen today, because I have a couple of questions that I need to know. I was looking at the contract, and a year after the contract was signed, Mr. Manager, I don't have any update in terms of what was done after the contract was approved last year, in terms of where we are from day one to now, and how much money have been spent in minority communities. I would like to see the minority partners and see where they are with this project. Um, there are so many things that I would like to know before we go any further with this project, and probably I would like to have your input, Mr. City Manager, on it. Otherwise, I'm not going to be willing to discuss anything.
Sure. Madam Mayor and Council.
I'm sorry. I don't think that was a question for you to answer now.
I'm sorry.
What the mayor
I was
is
just explaining
saying
why
is
I have a
Okay.
tendency
Yeah.
to lean.
And my question was not that I wanted to move forward with, support it or not. I would just wanted to know why was the issues. But I respect that if you didn't have a chance to meet with the developer as I had the chance to, and I completely respect that, Madam Mayor, and that goes for Councilwoman Keys, nor for anybody that
And-
wish to move it,
and me
and
also.
I don't have a problem with it. So let's move on to vote to continue.
Mr. Bien-Aimé, do you have a questions or comment on the
No,
motion?
I did not have any chance to discuss it with staff and the developers.
Okay.
Then I will.
So, Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Steril,
Yes.
Councilman Bien-Aimé,
Yes.
Mayor Thundro,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys.
Yes.
Measure passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay.
Resolution?
Want me to read tab S?
Tab S, Mr. Clerk.
Okay. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the selection of 9 licensed, bonded, and insured general roofing contractors for residential properties in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in the request for proposal number 24-12-13, residential roof placement program, and further authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute individual agreements with selected contractors so as to effectuate the residential roofing services program throughout the city of North Miami in aggregate amount not to exceed $1 million, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Mr. Clerk, it's 10. I know the council report may have said 9, but there was a change, so somewhere, I don't know where the loss of that, and the resolution says 10. So I know what you're reading, I do see 9. but
That's
it
fine.
is-
Correction
it's 10.
for the record, approving the selection of 10 licensed, bonded, and general contractors. 10.
Madam Mayor, I move this resolution. This is an item that we have discussed a couple of months ago. So I move this item. I move the motion. I make a motion to approve this item. It's kind of a little tight, I'm sorry.
Second with a question. I see that a couple of them are notated that they are North Miami local vendors. Do they get preference points? I mean, like, I'm all about doing business with our local merchants. How does them being noted on this list help them, or does it help them, or is it just going to be pointed out to the person who gets the, like, how does that work?
Sure. When this was approved by council to move forward, when we did the RFP process, we made the notation not having a lot of data. How much money, the roofs, how many we could be able to do. So we made the notation for in-house purposes if we had to award it to them exclusively. Staff has since collected the data. We would probably do up to 60 roofs. And so to expedite it, we basically awarded everyone that responded. We went back to those vendors and we came up with a median from the lowest to the highest bidder. We went back and came up with a median range, and we spoke to all 10 vendors who said that we can do it within this range. So what we envision on doing is awarding all 10 this project. We will commence by giving them 1 apiece initially to see how they perform, and then moving forward, we will continue to award them. So as it is, it looks like that they would get about 6 roofs each. Kind of spreads the wealth a little bit. If we do get more, where there's like an odd number, like 64, then we would then perhaps go back to the local vendors if they are performing and give them 2 each, 2 more each.
So will the local vendors see any type of preference, being that they're based here in North Miami, or is it just you're noting it for the record here?
We're just noting it for the record, but it will and can come into play that if we have additional that we're not able to distribute equitably, then we could then go back and give it to the local vendors,
Okay.
providing that they have performed at a standard that's acceptable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
How the reason that I like the way staff presented this, it give many contractors a chance to participate instead of just doing one RFP or one RFQ for $1 million, but it actually give 10 different contractors a chance to participate. And again, I think that was a good idea.
So we're spreading the wealth.
Correct.
Very good. So motion made
May I
by.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just for the public, so everybody is aware, this was $1 million grant from the Biscayne Landing proceeds, and I'd like the public to know how an explanation as to who is going to be getting the roofs done, because I have people asking if the roofs are going to be done, where the waiting list, where the list came from, how do we choose the people getting their roofs. I spoke to Maxine Callaway today, and there will be no roof repairs. It will be complete roofs. My question also to confirm is if all of the contractors are going to be performing their services at the exact same dollar amount for their services, and also will there be any type of appraisal or inspection to see exactly, it says up to $15,000, do we just automatically give everybody $15,000 for the roof? Or if a roof only needs $9,000, do we only spend $9,000 on that roof? I'd like that for the public, please.
Okay.
Through the mayor, councilwoman, yes. Basically, there was an existing list for work to be performed under the HUD program. There were approximately several hundred individuals that were on that list. They are numerically done according to the rules and regulations of HUD. Sort of like the applications are dated, time-stamped, and they are approved. So we cannot go out of that order. The former mayor and council, it was their recommendation opposed to creating a whole new list to address the individuals in numerical order according to who needed roofs so that we can address that list. So that's how the names were selected. So far, what staff has done is we made contact with those individuals in numerical order to determine, one, if it was a roof, do they still need a roof? Some people have already did the repairs or got a new roof, or they may have sold their house. So then we would go down to the next list. But basically, in numerical order, we have the first 33 that are qualified from that list, and we're moving forward from that standpoint.
And looking at the list, I see most of the residents are from District 3 and District 4 that are on that waiting list. Is there a way we can add that the residents can come to public hearing if they are not satisfied with the job that is being done? Because we, during election times, have walked the doors and visited homes, and we've seen some horrible job that has been done in these people's home. And I would like a way for us to have a follow-up once the job is done, and to, I don't know, suggestion box from the citizen that are recipient of this work, for them to voice out their satisfaction or dissatisfaction. We must have a way to track down the work that we do and evaluate ourselves through the resident satisfaction list.
Madam Mayor, yes. The answer to that question is yes. There are mechanisms already in place. There are inspections. When you install a roof, each phase has to be goes through an inspection process and pass.
Okay.
And of course, if it doesn't pass each of those phases, and then we then have identified a problem roofer. And to follow up on another question, if the roof only costs $8,000, that's all they get. They don't get the total 15. Only what it costs.
And
up to 15.
who evaluates how much it would cost per roof? Let's say, do we have somebody that goes there and said that roof only need to be patched, this one have to be redone totally, completely? It's just small repairs, medium repairs. Who make that decision?
The roofs that we
The
have.
roofer, the same roofer?
No, this is city staff.
Okay.
We have Marie,
A home inspector.
a home inspector.
Okay.
She goes out
Okay.
with the builder or with the roofer.
Okay.
Most of the homes that have been selected are in a condition that it needs a total roof replacement.
Okay. Now, you just mentioned to us that some of these houses, they have probably fixed their homes already. What would be the process for you to add more? Let's say, for example, 10 out of the 70 people have already done their own work. What is the next step from there?
We feel that based on the amount that we have, 600, we would not be able to add anybody to that list. There's enough names there that we will go down that list,
Okay.
and we will find 60 off
Gotcha.
of that list.
Okay.
There are situations.
We have 600 people on the waiting list for the roofs, or is it for home repair?
It's home repair, but the majority, the reason why the roofing program was selected, because the majority of that 600 is requiring a roof. There are circumstances in which if it's an elderly person, and if it's an emergency situation, the HUD guidelines allows us to move an individual up.
Okay.
And we're following suit with the same practice in this situation.
Okay.
Another question, do we conduct any survey after the job been done?
Through the mayor, Councilman Bename, yes. What I understand that the dais would like for us to do is to go back. I will have
Conduct a survey.
that
And
division
so
conduct a
they're
survey.
happy with the job,
and-
with the company?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good.
I had one more question. Sorry I didn't ask. On these roof repairs, are we giving mortgages or putting liens on the people's property? Are we just giving 15,000, or will there be an agreement that if, like, I think there's a mortgage, so people do understand that we're not just giving the 15,000 away, that there is going to be an agreement. I'd like a little explanation of what that agreement is. I've asked for a copy of it, but could you explain exactly what that's going to entail?
I'm going to need staff to do that.
Okay?
Ms. Callaway?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilwoman Keys, yes, there is an agreement.
Turn on your mic, please.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Maxine Callaway, thank you, Mr. Manager. There is an agreement. We can certainly forward you the template that has already been prepared by the City Attorney's Office. It's a 7-year deferred loan, and it's a lien that is placed on the property, portions of which will go away incrementally, provided the property owner remains in the property for 7 years. So we took it directly from the federal program that we currently practice.
Because I've had people, thank you, because I've had people asking me, so people don't just think it's 50. They get the roof repaired, they can't sell their house next year and not pay the money back to the city.
That's correct. So
Okay.
if they remain in 1 year, then they would have to repay back 6 years. And the manager wanted me to also make it clear that there's a warranty that's built into the agreement. It's 10-year on the materials and 1 year on the labor.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. For tab, was it T?
Yes.
S. Do anybody wishes to record a no?
Mayor.
For the resolution?
Mayor, I don't believe you had public hearing on that.
Oh, we
tab
have
yet?
to vote. Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Sorry. Public hearing is now open. Anybody who wishes to speak on tab S may do so. And we have 2 minutes for everybody to speak.
Joe Driscoll.
Good evening, Annie Montgomery, 20, is this on?
Please turn on your mic. Okay.
Good evening, Annie Montgomery, 2082 Laurel Lane, that's my home address, just to let you all know. On the roof, Councilwoman Keys asked the question, how are these people selected that are going to receive the roofs? How were they made aware that this money was coming available to them? You said 600 people, you have 600 on the list. How are they made aware of that? Because I wasn't really aware of it only until about a few weeks ago. So how was the applicants made aware of that? Yeah. Can somebody answer the question?
Thank you. Anyone else wishes to speak?
Can somebody, I'm
on
not
this
finished.
item?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Did you think I was finished, Mayor?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Just,
So go ahead. You do have another minute.
Another
to
minute?
speak.
I
Go
think I
ahead.
have more than that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. How was these people made aware, Mr. Johnson, of this money being available for the roof work?
You can go ahead. Mr. Johnson will answer all the questions at the end. He's taking notes. He will
I
answer
don't
your
see him
questions.
taking notes, but he will
Madam,
answer my question.
Do you have
Thank
anything
very
else
much.
that you would like to
I
address?
also want to know how these people are selected. I believe our ex-city clerk, Alex DeSumi's name is on that list and has been on there. So I was just curious, is it favoritism or how are these people selected? Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to speak on item S, public hearing?
Madam Mayor, member of the council, Joe Celestine, 13500 Northeast 3rd Court. I couldn't wait to come up here to tell you guys how unhappy I am, how disappointed I am that the city I love, the great city of North Miami, has become something that I cannot believe. I hope that the next council meeting will not be about challenging every single item on the agenda. According to the charter, the manager is the administrator of the city, and he is to present his agenda to the council for approval, and the council cannot interfere on the administration. And if a member of the administration if the member of the council interfere with the administration, is ground for removal from office. Tonight I watch the council micromanage or want to take charge in managing the city. I caution all of you to understand that the manager does not have the authority to do anything or awarded any contract to anyone. In fact, any contract above $100,000 has to go through a competitive process and then come to the council for approval. The perception or the idea that the manager can take decision in approving contract without a competitive process or bring it to the council, it's unheard of.
15 more seconds, Mr. Celestine.
I hope that the next council meeting that we will work together as a council for the betterment and the future of this great city instead of the infighting and argument about every single item. We're now on the third or fourth item and it's about 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road. I had a question. I don't know if you'll answer it right away, but my understanding was that applications for roof repairs and housing repairs exponentially increased after Hurricane Wilma, and a list was constructed, I believe, based on the date of the application. And so my question and concern is, now that you've selected particularly the roofing vendors, will the list by date be followed so that people who applied years ago, who are still waiting, can get their roofs sooner than someone who just found out about it a couple of weeks ago? So that was one question. The other question that I had, which I don't know if you'll answer right away or save for council discussion, is a roofing program came before the council, a representative from the National League of Cities, And there was another roofing program for the Miami-Dade League of Cities to save money and provide loans for roofs, which was presented by a former councilman, and it was received with some skepticism, but then it was dropped. So did you take that into account? Those type of programs where the roofers are supplied by the Florida League of Cities or the National League of Cities and have already been certified and gone over. So
15
I
more seconds.
was unaware, of course, I'm not a roofer, so I wouldn't have applied for the RFP. But still, before you even sent out an RFP, it would have been prudent, I think, to have made that follow-up with the national and Florida programs.
Thank you. Public forum is still open on item S. Still open. Now public forum is closed on item S, resolution. Mr. City, any clarification would you like to bring on the concerns of the citizens? What has been the process, and when did we start it to use CDBG money to repair people's houses and roof? Is it something that came from the sky? It seems like some of the citizens don't understand, we have not been there through the whole time. Money have been disbursed to the community in order to fix their homes. I remember there was a time where money was being returned to the federal government because people were never aware that such program existed in the city of North Miami. Would you please clarify this?
I would have to bring up Director Maxine Calloway, who can drill down into that information, who's really facilitated this program, if I may.
Madam Mayor, with respect to the CDBG funds, the City of North Miami became an entitlement jurisdiction in 1996. Entitlement meaning that because of our population size, we didn't have to competitively apply for those funds. Since that time, we adopted a consolidated plan, and we have had a rehab program since then. And it's been that way since I've been here almost now 10 years.
And what has been the process for people to sign into this program? How do we select people, and how did the public become aware of such a program?
There was a time that we used to market the program, but for the past 6 years, we've had an extensive waiting list. So we no longer market the program because we have a need greater than the funds we have to address the need. So we have not marketed. So when people do come in, though, whether they've heard it from their neighbor or they've heard it from somewhere else, we still accept their name on the waiting list, but we no longer actively market the program because we cannot address the need of over 650 that are on the waiting list.
Thank you.
Resident Montgomery's question, if you can answer the question.
Yes.
How do we go about selecting the individuals? How do we go about notifying the individuals on that list?
Yes, Mr. Manager. For this particular program, we started notifying people that signed up. We went by first come, first serve. So letters were sent to those people that signed up in 2010. Moving forward, we send them a letter letting them know that we have great news that the Mayor and Council has awarded $1 million for a general fund roofing program, and we ask them whether or not they have an interest in the program still, because we recognize that we were dealing with people who had signed the list since 2010. So we asked them to notify us, and we gave them a time certain if they still have an interest in participating in the program. And so those who still have an interest did respond in a timely manner by the date that was in the letter, and then we began the process for those.
Okay. The CDBG money goes on a first-come, first-served basis only to assist people in repairing their homes?
Yes, we have, for CDBG, we have a paint program, and we also have a single-family rehabilitation program. And further in the agenda, you'll see the action plan, which also have home funds, which we have a first-time home buyer program. But with respect to CDBG, we just have a single-family rehab program and a paint program.
The first-time home buyer program, is there a waiting list as well?
No, the first-time home buyer does not have a waiting list. So if there is an applicant who finds a property in North Miami and is qualified for a first mortgage, there is funds that can assist them. So we don't have a waiting list for that.
Very good. So the waiting list is really for repair. The 600 people that are on the waiting list is only for repair. It's not
That
to
is
rent.
correct. Mhm.
So we do have vacant property now for rent and for sale.
The
Do
first
we have
time-
any?
For rent, under
Does
our...
the city have any vacant property for rent or for sale available now?
Yeah, under our NSP program, which is a neighborhood stabilization program that we were awarded about 3 years ago, we do have 2 vacant single-family properties for sale, but there is a waiting list for that program, and we do have 2 units for rental, and there is a waiting list for that program.
Oh, I don't understand. If you said that we have them, why is there a waiting list, and how many people are on that waiting list? Because you just told me the 600 people were pretty much for repair, for home repairs, either roof or home. The particular program we're talking about, the rental and the sales, you just said there are some properties available. We do have a waiting list still?
Yes, but
Of how many people?
For the rental program, we have over 200 people on that waiting list, and for the NSP program, we probably have anywhere from 20 to 30 on the purchase of properties.
And the properties that are ready to be sold, when are they going to be made available to the 30 people that are waiting?
They are now. We're in the process of qualifying. I'm just saying that they're there. We have not closed, but we're in the process of qualifying.
There's only 2, is that correct?
There's only 2. One of them is being considered for one applicant for the water plant. I think there's discussions regarding that property owner. And then the other one, we do have someone that we're in the process of certifying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any? And second, Mr. Clerk.
Mayor Thundell,
Yes.
Councilman Bien-Aimé,
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Steril, and Councilman Galvin.
Yes.
Measure passes 5-0.
Thank you. Tab T, Mr. Clerk.
A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving fiscal year 2013 to 2012 action plan under the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Grant programs, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. That is tab T.